Y'all, 2025 was the year that I finally broke my scroll addiction. And I did it without having to buy anything. This year I want to take it even further and almost break up with my phone entirely. And here's how I'm going to do it. Still without buying anything.
In the current state of the internet, many of us are searching for ways to escape the scroll, including buying dumb phones or arguably cool products like Brick, or finding new hobbies to entice us away from our screens. But some of us don't want to spend money to stay off of our phones, and luckily we don't have to.
So first of all, this didn't happen overnight. I don't want anyone thinking that I woke up one morning and decided cold turkey that I was just gonna stop scrolling. Like, that's not what happened. It's been a process. And like breaking any addiction, I had short spurts of success, followed by periods of returning to bad habits. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video, but it also wasn't for lack of effort. Like, I was trying. I first knew something needed to change a few years ago when I realized that I was averaging 8 or more hours of phone screen time a day. I was literally putting in a 40-hour work week on my phone in addition to the real life job 40-hour work week I was already putting in on my computer, except for I wasn't getting paid, and instead I was paying them with my attention and my data so that they could feed me more relevant content so that I could stay on my phone for longer. Like, we all know how this works by now. And now there was some overlap here. It's not like I was bookending my 9 to 5 with 8, 9, 10 hours of screen time. What would happen more frequently than I would like to admit is that, I'd be working, I'd be in between work tasks, and I would just absentmindedly reach for my phone, open it, reflexively go to one of my apps, and all of a sudden I'd been scrolling for 30 minutes. And this habit of distraction scrolling would add up throughout the day. And then I would get home and I would continue to scroll after work, while I was eating dinner, while I was watching TV, while I was brushing my teeth, while I was laying in bed not falling asleep. You know the drill. And I feel like this is a good time to give the disclaimer that all of this is relative, right? What's high for me might not be high for you. I felt like 8 or more hours of phone screen time a day for me, in addition to what else I had going on in my life, was much higher than I wanted it to be. And a lot of it depends on how you use your phone. Like right now, I'm using my phone to show my script, and that adds to my screen time, but I'm not actively scrolling on it. So just differentiating between scroll time and screen time, I think, is really important. By the end of the day, I was tired, I was uninspired to create any sort of art, and I felt like I had no free time because I was squandering it away on my phone. And like, I knew it was my phone habits causing me to feel this way. Like, I knew it was a problem. You probably know what I'm about to say because it's just a running joke at this point, but it really is the damn phone. But I finally reached a breaking point and decided to do something about it. The very first thing I did was turn off my notifications for almost all of my social media apps and just like things that I didn't need to get notifications for. I really wanted to reduce the number of reasons I might reach for my phone. So if that meant getting less notifications so that I was checking my phone less, that was great. And this was really nice because it felt like a first step in making my phone and making, say, Instagram a place where I was logging on again instead of being consistently reachable and online. But the main Kickstarter and catalyst for this whole journey for me was deleting TikTok off of my phone in 2023, and then deleting my account entirely after the whole, oh, TikTok's gonna get banned, oh no, oh, actually thank you so much to our supreme leader for saving us, even though you're not even reelected yet, fiasco. I'm so glad that I did that then and didn't wait until the most recent fiasco. I can't stress enough that getting rid of the infinite scroll app was the best thing I could have done for my brain. The best thing. It really was the catalyst for everything that followed after that. Before we talk about what did work, we have to talk a little bit about what didn't work, at least for me. After I deleted TikTok from my phone, I realized that I craved scrolling in any form. I found myself scrolling on Instagram for hours, and then I deleted the Instagram app, and the next thing I was onto was Shorts. And then after I blocked YouTube for a second, I was onto Pinterest. At my lowest of lows, you guys, I was opening Zillow to scroll, I was opening eBay to scroll, and I was even on Depop scrolling, which scrolling on a shopping app is just like the worst combination ever. And I would just do this for the tiniest hits of dopamine. And it was really getting ridiculous. I did try deleting these apps and then only accessing them on like the computer or my iPad. Like when I deleted Instagram, I realized how much of a reflex it was to open my phone and just scroll to where it had been in my app library. Like all of a sudden I was opening up another app and I was like, that's not Instagram. So that made me realize how much of a distractive reflex it was. Deleting my apps from my phone worked for a little bit, except for you can't post on Instagram from your desktop. And I didn't want to delete the YouTube app entirely in case I needed to like refresh myself on how to do the Heimlich or something. But then as soon as Instagram was back on my phone, even hidden away in the app library, even hidden in the hidden app folder behind Face ID, I was back to scrolling. Like, it was almost immediate. So naturally at this point, I tried setting screen time limits. Unfortunately, the built-in screen time limits on iOS are way too easy to get around. I think I had my Instagram limit set to an hour each day, and I would so easily burn through that in 1 to 2 sittings, and then I just ask for 15 more minutes of screen time. It really wasn't very effective for me. So next I moved on to trying focus apps. I tried Hank Green's Focus Friend, I tried Pomodoro timers, I tried, a couple where you grow plants or trees and whatnot, but there was always something I didn't really like about these apps. One of those reasons was so many of these apps are subscription based, and I didn't want to pay another subscription, or they have microtransactions, and I really don't like microtransactions. Even Animal Crossing Pocket Edition can't get me to do microtransactions, so if that can't, literally nothing can. And then the other thing is that I didn't love that the reward for being off my phone still lived in my phone. It just felt a little counterintuitive to me. So these were all busts for me personally. So now we're to the exciting part, which is what actually worked for me. I feel like a really important piece of this puzzle that I don't want to downplay and maybe won't be the same for everyone else is that I felt this sense of urgency click in my head last summer as we were preparing to move across the country away from everyone and the place I'd called home for 29 years. If you don't know, we moved across the country in October from Oregon to North Carolina and left behind everyone we know. And so last summer, as we were kind of preparing for the move, I really wanted to spend time being present with my friends, in our home, with my wife, with my dog, with my family, and the places that we loved in Oregon. And that meant I didn't want to waste my life away on my phone. I wanted to kick this habit more than ever. And like I said before, this journey started for me in 2023. So before a lot of the current conversations about dumb phones and app blockers and analog bags and stuff like that. But I can't lie and say that some of these things weren't intriguing to me as I was deciding to double down on this habit last summer. Ultimately, I think if any of these things do genuinely help somebody stop scrolling or stay off their phone more, that's amazing. That's great. And then, we can reinvest that time into our communities, into our friends, into hobbies, etc. I do really think that we all should be doing that more in general. And I do think that me having a dumb phone, for example, or a physical app blocker like Brick would keep me off of my phone more. I do think they would be effective. But when it came down to it, I didn't want to buy anything to help me stay off my phone. So I was on the hunt for something that was $0, and I found it. So this is 100 million% not an ad. This app actually genuinely changed my life. It is called ScreenZen. This is a free app. There's no subscription. And what I love most about it is the psychology behind it. There are 2 features on ScreenZen that really changed the chemical makeup of my brain. So the first is that it gives you a certain number of unlocks for a specified amount of time. So Instagram, for example, my screen time limit for Instagram is still an hour. But instead of giving me a 1 hour chunk of time, it breaks it up into you get 6 unlocks for 10 minutes each, which adds up to an hour over the course of the day. So instead of just opening it kind of willy-nilly, I have to look at my little app block screen and decide, is this something I actually want to use one of my unlocks for, or am I just getting on here as a distraction? And so now I feel conscious of what I'm getting on Instagram for. So I get on to respond to a message, or I get on to post a story or a carousel or something. It really confronts that instinctive urge to open an app and you're faced with the screen that's do you actually want to do this right now? So that was great. The second thing is that it makes you wait before the app opens. So if you click unlock, you can set a custom amount of time. Mine is set to 10 seconds. Where I click unlock and it takes 10 seconds to open the app. Say the beginning of me starting to use ScreenZen, it would lock in the middle of the reel. And my muscle memory is used to asking for 15 more minutes. So I would click unblock. And instead it was okay, unlocking in 10 seconds. And I was wait, I actually don't want to do that. So then you can click block again and it'll give you your unlock back. Does that make sense? There are so many customization options, so many. So you create app groups, so you can pick all your social media apps if you wanted. So if you pick 2 hours as your app limit for each app, then you can use each app for 15 minutes up to 8 times a day. It gives you an option to pick a reminder is this important? Is this a good time? Or relax your shoulders, which I think is cool. So you can also add time windows. So you could set, your app limit to all day. You could set it to just your work day, 9 to 5, 8 to 5. You could set it just for bedtime. You can pick certain days. You could just strict block your apps if you don't want them to have any opens, which is cool. Like I said, extremely customizable. You can have so many app groups. You can also really customize your unlock settings. So for Depop, I have a cooldown time of an hour. So where I open Depop, I cannot open it again for another hour after it locks. There's a setting you could turn on if you wanted to, where every time you open it, it increases the amount of time you have to wait before the app opens. And then there's also like an app odds unlock thing where you could set it to always unlock your app, or you could give it a little bit of a like, you only open 1 in 3 times, you only open 1 in 5 times. So it might open, it might not. And I feel like that is really good for those apps that are literally just distractions. I think that's a cool feature. So another thing that I really like about ScreenZen is if you are in the depths of your addiction and you're to the point where you would just delete the app or disable the settings instead of going through the pause and the interventions, they have ways to stop you from doing that. You can also prevent the app uninstall, and I think paired with the lock settings passcode, that would be really powerful for somebody. I loved the app so much after using it for like a week that I did use the tip jar function to tip the developer like $5. And before anybody comes at me saying, you spent money when you said you didn't, this was not required. This was optional. It's a tip, okay? I work very closely with a developer for my regular job, and I know how much time and energy he puts into his projects. And I just like wanted to show this developer a little extra love because I loved ScreenZen so much. Using the tip jar gave me like lifetime access in case they do ever move to a paid model. And the only thing it unlocked were like extra customization options for the app block screen. I'll show you what I mean. So I used a lot of memes when I was doing this. I have a disappointed but not surprised meme on Instagram. YouTube Studio is why am I checking? YouTube is check this later. It's a little strange planet guy. And then there's Depop. So I'm at a 182-day streak now for Instagram where I've never gone over an hour on my phone. I do have Instagram on my iPad and I don't have ScreenZen installed on there because I don't feel that same urge to scroll as I do on my phone. So if I absolutely need Instagram to like finish responding to a conversation or something, then I'll use my iPad. But that's only happened like 2 or 3 times in 182 days. So I'd say it's working like a charm, really. After getting the ball rolling with ScreenZen, I've been experimenting with a mix of on-screen deterrents and physical deterrents to keep me off of my phone entirely. One of the first on-screen deterrents that I implemented, aside from setting up ScreenZen, was I updated my phone to the liquid glass iOS and changed my icons to that transparent color. And I also moved some apps around. So immediately that kind of interrupted my brain being like, your phone looks different. And I had to work a little bit harder to get into the apps that I wanted to open. So as far as physical deterrents go, I've been thinking about creating a landline-esque dock for my phone for the longest time since we were back in Oregon. And up until a couple weeks ago, it was really largely a bust. I'm not ruling it out for the future if I can figure out a way to do it well, but it's tabled for now. But I did see a Substack article about chaining your phone to the wall. This is by Tiffany. The Substack is called Cyber Celibate. And I have to say, this little spark of creativity was the last piece of the puzzle that I needed. So let me show you what I put up. So Tiffany's Substack article is all about how she chained her phone to the wall for the whole week. This was all on one charge. She didn't take it out of the house, you know, used alternatives for maps and texting friends and all this stuff, and what she learned from the experience. So of course, I'm still coming off of this whole landline phone dock idea. Almost like I wanted to have one of those corded wall phones where it was literally on the wall and I could only interact with it as I was standing right there. And so this was kind of the perfect little marriage of these ideas. So I actually sat on this article for a week or two as well, because I couldn't figure out exactly what I wanted to make my chain with. She'd used like a proper chain and I was like, I don't want to buy anything. So what do I have around the house that I can use for this phone chain? The answer was 10 carabiners. A couple Christmases ago, I had asked my wife for a multi-pack of carabiners because I, of course, classic stereotype, use one for my keys, all my keys, and you know, they wear down over time, the color wears off, and I was just like, you know, it'd just be nice to have a pack and then I can switch it up whenever I want. And I just had 10 left and it was the perfect length for my little chain. I went through a couple different ideas for attaching it to my phone. I thought for a while that I would have a charging option and I would just plug it in, but the outlet placement is just not ideal. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll buy like a lanyard case, but that's besides the point because I didn't want to spend any money on this. So I actually found out that my current case had a little slot for a lanyard right here on the side. So I actually took apart a necklace that I had and I just looped this little part into the keychain element, and now it looks like this. And then I can't bring this any closer than right here, but I took a chain extender that I had. And again, this is just me using things that I had around the house. So like adapt this to what you have in your home if you're trying not to spend money like I was. And so then what I do most days when I come into my office is I will just hook it on there, put it in the little slot, and go about my day. If you don't have 10 carabiners lying around like I do, get creative. There's so many different ways you can make a chain, and if you do end up doing this, I would love to see what you used. I think the possibilities are endless, really. The other piece of this is, of course, I try to only interact with my phone while it's on the chain. So I have to get up from my desk, stand here, open a message, open Instagram if I want, and stand here to use my phone. And then when I go back down to work, I can't bring it with me. Like I literally tried to walk off with it the other day. It is on the wall. So in addition to my office phone chain, I also have other places in other rooms of the house where my phone lives. So instead of just carrying my phone in my pocket, if I'm in a certain room of the house, it's in its little spot. If I'm in the kitchen, it's on the counter. If I'm on the couch in the living room, it's on the side table. If I'm in the bedroom, it's on my nightstand. That way I go interact with my phone in these places instead of just carrying it around with me all the time. Obviously there's exceptions, but for the most part, this has been really helpful. I've also been trying to use more alternatives to things on my phone. If you watched my physical media video, you'll know that I got a CD player and I canceled my music streaming, so I've been listening to music that way. I've also really been using this little pocket notebook instead of the Notes app on my phone, which I never really used the Notes app anyway for things other than quick reminders and grocery lists, but this has been really nice. I've been jotting down notes as I read. It's helped me to slow down a little bit. And the other day I was watching a YouTube video, and instead of writing down a book recommendation in my phone, I wrote it down in here. So it's just been really nice, and I feel like actually a genuine start to a journal ecosystem that works for me. The result after all of this is that I have more time, more energy, and way more creativity. I actually, at this point, feel an ick when I realize that I'm scrolling, and I'm able to like recognize that, and instead of being like, ugh, I'm stuck, and like keep going, I'm able to just close the app and do something else. My screen time is really down overall. I don't have like a before picture of my screen time from the very beginning, but if we take like the 8-9 hours on average, compare it to my average from this week so far of like 1.5 to 2 hours, my screen time is down 75 to 80%. Bonkers. I feel like my patience has increased. I feel like the ideas are flowing. I'm reading more. I'm spending like more time outside, especially now that it's getting a little bit warmer. And like I mentioned at the beginning, it wasn't an immediate result. It took time. And I really think that's an important piece of it. Obviously, for some people, it works to quit something cold turkey, but I feel like it also introduces the opportunity for cravings and withdrawal. Cravings and withdrawal. If you're offered your addictive thing, it can be hard to say no. Like actually, for example, a few times early on, I had a different setting enabled on my phone that accidentally allowed Screen Zen to keep Instagram open and not relock it after the 10 minutes had passed. And I didn't realize it. And then like I was just sitting and I was like, oh my God, I've been scrolling for an hour. To give another example, at the beginning, when I was still getting used to breaking the pattern and breaking the like craving, is I would max out my Instagram opens each day. Like I would spend the full hour on Instagram every day. And now I can go a whole day without opening my apps. I feel like I'm just really proud of myself. I do also think a big part of this was that so much of social media now is just flooded with AI garbage and doo-doo that I don't want to look at. And that sucks. But also it was helpful in getting me off my phone, I guess. Reject AI, return to nature before the data centers strangle the earth. Anyway, I hope literally any of this is helpful. I've had a couple friends tell me actually that they've downloaded Screen Zen after I've shared about it in my personal life and that it's helped them so much with their own scrolling habits. So I'm just extending that to y'all. I personally have been incredibly grateful at the time that I've reclaimed each day. I think just at a certain point, especially now that I'm approaching my 30s, I'm like, I don't want to spend this much of my life on my phone. Like there's so much out there, especially thinking about the future. I'm like, I want to go be out there and enjoy it and enjoy nature and enjoy my friends and enjoy community that I have now. You know, that's all I got today. I wish you the best of luck on your own journey, and I'll see you next time. Bye.